Wednesday Show. Wednesday Show. Wednesday Show. Maybe? I don't know if you can hear me or if you're even there. I don't know if you would listen to a Brent Dodge prayer. We'll just. Maybe people are coming on? Maybe? Oh, there we go. Some people are popping on. Hey, MCM, how you doing? Losing my voice today. Hello, with a wave. How's everyone doing? Is everyone doing good? Hopefully everyone's doing well out there. You guys having good days? I hope so. Tonight we're going to be talking about this past weekend's Springtime Surprise Challenge. And kind of going through a race recap about the expo, about merchandise, about the races itself, and a whole lot more. So just make sure you join us here. Hello, Matt. How you doing, buddy? Yo, what's your mother? Hi, Mom. She might be watching. Is that the word? Hello? Yeah, so let's get this party started here. Hello there. Matt's doing good. All right, so let's get this party started. Because we have a lot to talk about. We're going to go through a lot of character pictures. I think we met 51 characters. It may be 52 characters. And let's go. Oh, and we already have questions coming in. So we will get to that question in just a few minutes here. But I like that question a lot. So if you start having questions, start throwing those questions in. All right, we're going to start the 766th episode of the Wednesday Show in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 766th episode of the Wednesday Show. Today is April 24th, 2024, and I'm your host, as always, Brent Dodge. Hello. Today we're going to be going through and talking about this past weekend's Springtime Surprise Weekend. It's a Run Disney event. This is the third year that they've done it. And we're going to go through, answer your questions, talk about the courses, and show you every single character that was on the course. But of course, before we get to that, let's talk about our news for the week. All right, so first off, thank you everyone who's been joining us for our Saturday in the Park. If you don't already know, every single Saturday we do a live broadcast from someplace found throughout the Walt Disney World Resort. You never know where we're going to be, but I promise you we'll be coming to you always from Disney. However, this week we do have something going on Saturday, so unfortunately we will not be having a broadcast. I do apologize in advance, but we will be having to come back the following week. So make sure you join us for that one instead. And also, as always, as we go through here tonight, if we get more and more subscribers as the evening goes on, we will go into extra innings or possibly extra questions if you guys have them. So let's take a look at our number for the start of the day here. We are starting at 4,364 subscribers, which is amazing because last week when we started the show, we were at 4,269. So we've gone up 95 subscribers since we started the show last week. So exactly 1 week ago right now, that's exactly how far apart we were. So make sure you keep on sending people over, and we will continue going into extra innings as we go through here as well. Also, a huge thank you to Bluey for giving us those numbers because Bluey is apparently the greatest thing that I could have ever done on my YouTube channel. And of course, as always, tonight's episode is sponsored by our Patreon pals. They are very awesome. Thank you to our Patreon pals. If you are a Patreon pal and you are watching right now, throw a "oh yeah" in the chat room so everyone knows who you are because you guys are special. Yay. All right. So we have a lot to talk about tonight, so let's get to it. All right. So tonight we're going to be talking about the Springtime Surprise Challenge. Now, if you have not been joining us here at all in the past, then maybe you don't realize how obsessed with Run Disney I am. In fact, I've been doing Run Disney races for well over 10 years now. I have not missed a weekend in over 10 years. And I have done at least one race every single race weekend since February of 2014, which is kind of insane that we have been doing that many races as time has gone on. There was a point years and years ago where I said, as soon as I hit 50 medals, I'm stopping. And then I said, you know what? Maybe when I hit 100 medals, I'm stopping. And then I don't even know how many medals we're at anymore. But we're not stopping. We're just not stopping anytime in the near future, because I absolutely love Run Disney. And the Springtime Surprise Weekend is hands down one of my favorite weekends of the entire year. And we'll go through why as we go through here as well. But like I said, if you guys have questions, start throwing those questions into the comments right now. We are going to be going through, we'll first talk about the expo, then we'll go to a few questions in the chat room, then we'll start talking about the races, and as we go through the races, we will take questions as well. So let's start us off with the expo. Now, for the Springtime Surprise Challenge, there is a yoga event on a Thursday morning. I did not attend the yoga event because I did not want to show off my yoga moves to too many people. You know, I don't want people to feel like I'm bragging too much with my yoga moves. In fact, I would be more interested in a Yoda event than a yoga event. I have no interest in yoga. So the yoga event did take place over at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Like I said, I did not go. They have been having these yoga events for a lot of the races lately, and I've never done it. I keep on saying maybe one of these years I should try it just to experience it, but at the same time, that would make this weekend 4 days of waking up at like 2 o'clock in the morning. That's just not fun. So I decided not to do it this year. Instead, we're going to go through and just do the 3 races because that's what we've been doing. So the Springtime Surprise Race Weekend did launch back in 2022 as a brand new race weekend. Now, before this, they used to have a Star Wars race weekend that took place here in Walt Disney World. They also had a Star Wars weekend that took place over in Disneyland as well. If you did the 2 of them, you did the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. I'm sorry. The Kessel Run Challenge, which was going coast to coast, but both of them being the Star Wars themed races. And when they got rid of that, a lot of people were disappointed. I was disappointed. I was literally 1 race away from being perfect. They did 4 race weekends in a row, and then they got rid of it. And then when they came up with the idea of the Springtime Surprise Challenge, it was one of those where we weren't really sure what we were going to get, but we knew that we're going to have a challenge that consisted of the 5K, the 10K, and the 10 miler. And the first year they had it so these were paying tributes to old races. So the 5K was the Expedition Everest 5K Challenge that used to happen back in 2008, I think, 2008 all the way through 2013. And then they had it so there was a Race for the Taste Challenge, which was another race that was very short-lived, but it was a 10K. And then the 10 miler used to be the Tower of Terror 10 miler, and I did the very last one back in 2014. And then last year they switched up the themes because, hey, surprise, they can switch them up. That's part of the surprise of the Springtime Surprise. So last year was all Pixar themed, and then this year was all about adventure. So if you did all 3 races, you did the Stitches Ohana Challenge 19.3 mile challenge. So this is going to be my bib for the race. So I went over there and I would pick it up. Now, because in the past race weekends, what they typically do is they have it so you go through and the bibs or the challenge is usually the 10K and the half marathon, which would equal into 19.3 miles. And since the Tower of Terror 10 miler takes out that was just the 10 miler. So the 10 miler plus the 3.1 would still equal the distance of a half marathon. So they decided to have it so the challenge would be all 3 races together to bring that grand total still to 19.3 miles. So the 3 themes of the races were going to be the Neverland 5K, the Adventure is Out There 10K, the Hakuna Matata 10 miler, and then, of course, altogether the Stitches Ohana Challenge. So when you go over to the expo, you pick up your bib, which obviously we just showed you, and you can go through the merchandise area. Over in the merchandise area, I only bought 2 things. I was very proud of myself. I bought this hat right here because I think it's a great hat. I love the design of all 4 races. Is there anything on the back? It says, embrace the adventure. Ooh. And then having video issues. Is everyone else having video issues? I apologize if anyone else there is having video issues. And then I also got this Corksicle water bottle. And there again, we have all 4 challenges that are on there. The 5K, 10K, the Hakuna Matata 10 miler, and then of course the Stitches Adventure. Embrace the adventure. So overall, I actually have not even opened up this yet. Ooh, it comes with the straw. Okay. I got the one at Disneyland, which I really like too, but the Disneyland one does not have the straw, and you have to, lift your arm up like a sucker. And so I'm happy that I can go back into the life of not lifting my hand up like a sucker, and I can just drink like a normal person. It's not a normal person, but anyways. All right. In addition to that, you do pick up your shirts. 2 of my shirts I have worn, and they are currently in my laundry basket. But here's the 10K shirt. Adventure is out there. And then the 10 miler shirt as well, which has the Hakuna Matata 10 miler with Simba on there as well. Overall, if you know me, I love bright colors. I love things that are bright, happy, sunshiny, and all that other fun stuff. So going through and having so all the shirts are very bright colors, I was very, very happy. The 5K was bright green, and then the Stitches one is about the same color as this hat right here. Okay, so let's go through. We're going to answer some questions here, and then we're going to start going through all 3 of the courses here. I did see we have a lot of the different things popping up here. Wait, where's our first question at? Okay, what one specific mile during the whole weekend was your favorite, and why? Mile 13 to 14 was the best mile. And the reason that is because that's when you go through Hollywood Studios. And when you go through Hollywood Studios, in my personal opinion, anytime that you can spend a long period of time inside of a park is the greatest thing in the world. Because some of these races, like the 10 miler, the first 4.5 miles, all inside of the parks. It's all inside of Epcot, on the boardwalk, and then inside of Disney's Hollywood Studios. And then after that, you have about 4 or 5 miles that are outside the park. And it's still not bad. In my opinion, I still really enjoy the race, and we'll get into that as we go through here. But that 1 mile, you're pretty much the entire time is inside the park. You pass the 1 mile marker while you're going towards studios, and then the next mile marker is actually in studios over by the little gateway arch. And so going through studios the entire time, running to characters, overall great mile. Just like absolutely great mile. My friends that ran with me did not seem very fresh at that point. I still felt amazing at that point. So that also helped too. That I felt great, and it probably helped that my friends did not feel great because seeing them, I was like, oh, well, I don't feel like these guys. So life was good. For me, life was really good. Can you still not believe that another dream of yours has come true, meeting Bernard? That I cannot believe. Like, honestly, meeting Bernard was hands down one of the greatest moments of the entire race weekend. And I'm not just saying that because, I think a lot of people think that I was overhyping it. But here, wait, let's get to it here. No, we want this one right here. No, not that one. Oh, wrong button. We want this one right here. There we go. Look at it. Bernard. Isn't he amazing? So if you guys didn't know, my first book from Screen to Theme, the entire thing kind of came around because of Bernard and Bianca. In fact, if you've actually been watching the Wednesday show for any period of time, you may have noticed that up here, this is my rescuers area. So we got rescuers down under, rescuers mug. All these pins up here are rescuer pins. These ornaments right here are ornaments as well. Christmas ornament, or not? Yeah, Christmas ornaments. Other thing. So Bernard and Bianca are 2 characters that I always wanted to meet. I was finally able to meet Bernard. The only downside of this one was, I'm wearing the same shirt. The only downside of this one was they were not meeting together. So after Bernard would leave, Bianca would come, but it was a 20-minute rotation of the character. So Bernard would be out for 20 minutes, and then Bianca would come out for 20 minutes, et cetera. When we got in line, they had just switched over to Bernard. So unless I wanted to wait another 20 minutes, which would have put me a lot further back in the pack, I had to make a game time decision, and I decided that it was going to be best for my race to skip meeting Miss Bianca and going through and just having it so we met Bernard and only Bernard. Lotso legit smelled like strawberries. That one surprised me. Yes, so Lotso really did smell like strawberries when you go through and meet him. He used to smell like strawberries too when you would actually go through and meet him inside of the parks. But yeah, when you actually go through and meet him, he does smell like strawberries. I said in my video that, hey, you smell like strawberries. And I had a lot of people who did write to me thinking that it was like just some, funny joke that I was saying. But legit, he smells like strawberries. So do not be surprised. That is just how it was. Do you think they will ever change the 5K course? I don't think so. Well, they always do sometimes they do like little, just like small little areas that they kind of go through and switch up. But overall, it's typically the same course at all times. And because of that, I don't see them changing it anytime in the very near future. So we'll see. Let's go through here. We got one more question, then we'll go start talking about the 5K itself. Do they have any Pixar characters? Yep, they have like Lotso. Lotso's one of them. We also met Woody. We met Jesse. But the overall theme of the race was the idea of adventure. So it was more of the adventure style characters. I think there might have been one or two exceptions to that. But most of the characters were going to be characters like, like Woody. He goes on a crazy adventure. So that's why we have him there instead of other characters. So yeah, adventure is out there. Let's see. Do we have any other questions here before we go into the 5K? Nope, we don't. Okay. So as we go through here, if you guys have any questions about the races, start throwing them to the comments right now, and we'll go through and answer any and all questions as we go through here. I'm also trying to get to my pictures away for the 5K because we were a little ahead there. Okay, so no, wait. Okay, there we go. Okay, so for the 5K course, I should have pulled the courses up on here on the screen too, but I forgot to. So we're going to go through and I will pull up my Disney Experience app and we will go through that way instead. So the 5K course does start off in Epcot, as the Frank fam just pointed out to us. It usually is the same course, so we're not going to go into too much detail about the course, but we're going to go into some detail about the course. So we start off up here in the parking lot. You start off right here, and then you curve around this way, and then curve around backstage. And then we enter over backstage behind the test track area. Oh, I cannot figure out where I am. Okay. All right, so we enter backstage, and then we make our way up into World Showcase. We go all the way around World Showcase. This is the worst camera work I've ever done in my entire life. You go all the way around World Showcase, and then you make your way up through the central area. You go around the central area until you go out by Guardians of the Galaxy. After you go out by Guardians of the Galaxy, you go back out on the other side of Test Track. You make your way around until we eventually get to the parking lot there. Okay, I'm going to go into the middle in just a second here. Let's talk a little bit about the characters. Now, if you have been following me for any time, you know that I love to go through and talk about all the different characters. When I do these Run Disney races, my best bet is to go through and try to meet every single character. And I think for the last 2 years now, with the exception of one race, I've met every single character on the course. It is something that I strive to do every single time. There have been times where it's been very close. 2 times. There's been 2 times where we had to skip a character or two just because we may have been swept, or we would have been swept if we stuck around. But on this one, the first character usually is going to be right as soon as you get backstage of Epcot. They didn't have one there. However, we did get right backstage. Let's shrink me down and put that up. We did go backstage or on stage, and right when we got on stage, we had the 3 caviars there. As you can see, we've got Panchito, Donald Duck, and Jose Carioca. 3 characters who strive on adventure. So it is very fitting for this race for those 3 characters to be there. Following those characters, we would go all the way around World Showcase until eventually we got to our next character up by the American Adventure, which would be Mr. and Mrs. Incredible. By the way, if one person out there wants to play at home, I think we did 51 characters, but you can count. So far, this is 5. So we count them as individual characters, not character stops. So we had Jose, Panchito, and Donald Duck, Mr. and Mrs. Incredible. That brings us up to 5. I am fairly certain that I will be losing count here by the time we get up to 10 because I only have 10 fingers. Going on around World Showcase, eventually we made our way over between the UK and Canada, and that is where we met Angel along with Felix. Now, these are 2 characters from the Lilo and Stitch series. If you've never seen the series, don't feel bad. It's not a bad series. It's not a great series, but it's not a bad series. And as we go through here, we met the 2 of them, and I had a few people who were kind of distraught that they didn't get to meet these characters. This character goes starting here. Let me try to explain it. So if this is UK and Canada right here, it went past Canada and then around and up towards the bridge that goes over towards Future World. When we left the line, when we got in the line, it went all the way to the path where Le Cellier starts. So that is a very, 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 very long wait. We waited for about 20 minutes for Angel and Felix, and it was probably the longest line that we had throughout the entire course. I could be wrong. I could be right. I'm not really positive. But between all 3 races, I think it may have been our longest character spot. Right after that, we went on to our next character, which would be right over by the entrance to World Showcase. And that was the one, the only Daisy Duck with all of her nice little flowers and her little dress there. Overall, not my favorite character meet and greet. However, this was one of my favorite interactions with another racer while we were in line for this. We had this little girl who's probably like 6, maybe 7, maybe 8 at the oldest, who was right in front of us. And she was like talking about how, oh, this is my 7th 5K. I'm kind of done with 5Ks. I've outgrown them. I'm ready for 10Ks. And then she started to jinx us constantly. So overall, we had a great time with her. She was a lot of fun. But yeah, let's move on to our final character of that one, which was going to be right before we exited out of the end of the race period. We would go through and we would meet our final characters, which would be Captain Hook. This one, again, an insanely long line. If you look at that building that's right behind him, that is going to be the Guardians of the Galaxy building. So we are roughly right behind the Wonders of Life Pavilion. And if you would go all the way down to Test Track, that's where the end of the line was. We sat in that line for a long time. As you can see, it is light outside, and we started running at 5:04. So this was close to about 7 o'clock. It was probably the longest 5K. Well, no, it was about 6:30, I would say. Yeah, because we finished in 6:31 was our total time. So we were averaging about 30 minutes per mile, which is a lot longer than any of us are ever used to. In addition to that, the other 2 characters that we met that day was in the parking lot before and after the races. They do have multiple characters you can meet there. I don't count them on our official, like you have to meet them. I usually try to meet all of them, but this time we finished and the line for Peter Pan and Wendy was already cut off. And so we unfortunately didn't get to meet them. We did meet Duffy, which is going to come into play later on. We did meet Duffy, and we also met Wreck-It Ralph, and then the other 2 characters that were there were Lilo and Stitch for the Lilo and Stitch Challenge. Moving on to our 10K. By the way, if you guys have any questions out there, keep on throwing those questions in the comments there. Did you take any pictures with your online fans? Yes, I had 3 people who stopped me to take pictures during the races. Candace, are you watching right now? I know Candace watches sometimes. Candace was one of them. But yeah, I think it was 3 people stopped me during the races to get pictures. 3? Once during the 5K, once during the 10K, twice during the 10K, twice during the 10K, and then once during the 10 miler, I want to say. I could be wrong. All right, let's move on to our next race, though. All right, our next race, we are again starting inside of the Epcot parking lot. This time we are going a completely different route. We are going the opposite way here. And we are running through the Auto Plaza. Ooh. All right, after we go around the Auto Plaza, we keep on running, we keep on running, we keep on running, we keep on running. until we get right about here, and we do a U-turn up here, and then we loop back around. And then we go on the other side of the road until we get about here, and we loop around once again, and we go across this bridge, and we enter into that bus loop parking lot, and then we go backstage until we go around this area until we get over to Figment. We start to go around World Showcase, but then we stop right over by the UK Pavilion, where we take a detour, and we make our way past the Yacht and Beach Club, and we go around Crescent Lake until we get back to the other side, and then we go into World Showcase. On the other side, we finish World Showcase, and then we finish up here until we go backstage once again and end in the parking lot again. This race, again, lots of characters. This one we had a lot of times. Okay, we got a question here. So who is Daniel? I came in late and may have missed the introduction to Daniel. Daniel has ran with Frank and I probably 10 times before this. This is not Daniel's first rodeo with us. We've been running with Daniel since probably about 2017, but he hasn't been going on as many races since he had kids. So this is only his second time doing a run with us since he had kids. And then he signed up for one more with us in January. So Daniel will return in January. It's like the end of a Marvel movie. Captain America will return at some point, but not right now. But yeah, so Daniel has done multiple races with us before. He is just he seems new because it's been a while since we've had Daniel around with us. Okay, so heading over to the 10K. So let me start off by saying that one of the best things about the 10Ks is when you go through and you can have it so you go when you go through and do these races, it's great when the character spots are a little bit more spread out, or if you are able to start in the first corral. So if you look at the corrals going to be this letter at the very top here. My corral is B, which means that I am Brent. No, it means that I am decently fast, but I am not as fast as a lot of other people. So there is a corral A, there's a corral B, C, D, and E. So when we get there to the starting line, we try to get into the front of the corral as quickly as possible, because if you get towards the front, that means you got to leave earlier, and that means that character lines aren't going to be as long as they are if you are even leaving like one or two waves behind us. So when they go through and they have the corrals go, the corrals are kind of spread out. So for instance, during the 10K, they had A, but in A, they separated them into two different groups. So first group went off, and then 2 minutes later, the second group went off. This is just to spread the runners out on the course. When we went in B, in the first race, we were the first section of B because we got up close enough. The second one, we were barely in the second group, and literally that probably 2 minutes probably cost us about half an hour because of wait times. Because when you're going through, not everyone is doing what we do. In fact, most people are not doing what we do. In fact, I would bet that we're probably the only people doing what we're doing and trying to have it so we're meeting every single character on the entire course. There's been so many times where we've done like the Dopey Challenge. During the Dopey Challenge, I have talked to so many different people and said, hey, yeah, we're doing the Dopey Challenge, blah, blah, blah. And we've met every single character. And this is like during the full marathon. They're going, you've met every character? Like, that's not possible. We're like, well, we have. We will skip characters if we've met them before, but overall, we will go through and we'll have it so we meet every single character on the course, mainly due to the fact that we're trying to meet every character on the course. Because if I'm going to spend as much money as you're spending, I want to have it so I can really, truly enjoy every single instance. Did you witness the scary medical emergency? I hear she's doing good. Oh, okay. That's one of them. I know of seven scary medical emergencies. There's a lot of, that is one of these things is there are a lot of people who come to these races. They're not prepared. They're not used to the heat. They're not hydrating well. So yeah, I know of one that happened in the 5K, two that happened in the 10K. And I know of 4 different instances that I've read about for the 10 miler. But there's so many different medical people on the course that it's beneficial. In all of my time running, there's only been 2 times where I've seen things. I saw during the Princess, I saw the one guy being getting his the CPR was being given to him that was on the half. No, that was on the 10K. And then there was another time where we witnessed, it was awful. Anyways, happier things. So anyways, yeah, so the problem with the 10K was there were so many courses, or so many characters bunched right at the start. So when we first got to the first line, which was these guys, Mirabelle and Bruno from Encanto, this line was already a really, really long line. However, we were using it to our advantage to come up with a game plan. So one of the things about these races is if you are doing the run and you have it, so let's say, so for instance, in this picture, you can see me, Frank, and Daniel. When you have me, Frank, and Daniel there, one of the things is we have 3 people. If you have 3 people running together and one person gets in line and then the other people get in line right after, the correct thing to do is if the other people are joining you, you are doing one group picture. You're not going to have it so you're doing individual pictures, because that's just really, really rude to the people who are also behind you and don't have people who can run ahead and wait for them to all get individual pictures. It's just always been our rule. We've always said we're not going to do that because I just find it extremely, extremely rude. However, while we were in line for these 2 characters, I hatched an idea. Because we are always doing one group photo, we might as well have it so one person uses a lot of energy to the next character spot while the other people conserve energy. And then at the next time, we switch it up and have it so the next person uses a lot of energy. And then, well, let's be honest, Frank is slow. So Daniel and I came up with the idea that one of us would run ahead to the next character spot, and then we would switch spots and have it so we kept on taking turns. So when we were going through and having, so we started to take turns, I ran off to the next character spot, and the next character spot would be the one, the only, wait a minute, let me find her. Where are you? There you are. Vanellope Von Sweet from Wreck-It Ralph. So this character spot was literally not even a quarter of a mile after the last one. So this line had another extremely long line there. Hey, got Miley. So this was another extremely long line there. So we were able to get there fairly quickly. However, the really cool thing is, I don't know if I can do this or not, but let me try it. Oh, we can do it. If you look back there, you can actually see behind us on the bridge all the different people who are ahead of us. So all these people that are up here are people who are actually ahead of us on the race, and these are the people that we have to try to catch up to. Not a very easy feat because they are about half a mile ahead of where we currently are on the course. So we would run up to the next character, and the next character would be the one and only Robin Hood, Little John, walking through the forest, laughing back and forth at what the other has to say, reminiscing this and that, and having such a good time. Now, keep in mind, this is not even a mile and a half into the course, so we've already hit 3 characters. All 3 of these characters are averaging about 5 to 10 minute waits, if not longer. So at this point, we are already thinking we could be dead. Like, we actually have a chance that maybe, just maybe, there is a chance that we might be swept on this course. So we were starting to get a little bit nervous, but not too nervous because, you know, we know our speed. We know we can actually be able to go through and catch up to other people, especially those balloon ladies. If you guys want to know about the balloon ladies, if you don't know about them, send that into the questions as well. But we have covered them in the past, so we're not going to go through it unless people ask. Our next one was at the turnaround before we even started going over the over ramp. Was Woody there, and Woody was good character. But we would meet Woody, and then we were thinking finally our next character should be backstage of Epcot. And man alive, was I wrong, because that's where the next character usually is. However, this time around, it was not backstage of Epcot at all. But in fact, it was actually in the Epcot parking lot. We were able to meet Carl Fredricksen. Now, because as my shirt says, this was the Adventure is Out There 10K, it was all up-themed. And because it was up-themed, this was the longest character line probably of the entire weekend. It went all the way around the parking lot. And I said, I don't care. I want to meet him. Let's wait for him. And we waited for him. And it was, like I said, it was a long line, but was it worth it? Yes, it was definitely worth it. It's Carl Fredricksen from Up. Like, of course it was worth it. After that, we got into the backstage area of Epcot where we met our next character. This is where the character usually is. This is where I was like, oh, we're going to definitely meet a character here. It was Turk. Now, the character or the line for Turk was not as long as all the other lines. And I think this was because of two reasons. One, it was getting a little bit later already in the race that I think some people were getting nervous about not finishing. And two, I think people just don't really know who Turk is. So because of that, it did kind of work out to our benefit. However, our next character would be a completely different story. So side note, if you're ever doing one of these races and you have to go to the bathroom, my suggestion is wait till you get inside the parks, because then you don't have to use a porta potty. So that's what we always do. We have it so we have one person who runs ahead to the next character line while the other people go and use the bathroom over by Figment. And that brought us to our next character, which would be Chip and Dale in their Rescue Ranger outfits. By the way, I do see the questions that are popping up in the chat room. We will answer the questions as soon as we finish going through the characters here for the 10K and before we get into the 10 miler. So here we have Chip and Dale in their Rescue Ranger outfits. This is going to be at the same location where the day before we saw Angel and Felix. This character line was not as long. It was still long, but it was not as long as the day before. So I was very happy with us being able to meet them, but at the same time, it was kind of chaotic. After that, we would go out into the boardwalk. After we would make our way around the boardwalk, we would eventually get to our next character, which was Lewis from Meet the Robinsons, or Cornelius, however you want to say his name. Both names are completely acceptable in this situation. So after we went through and met Lewis, we got to our next character, which was right inside of Epcot, and this one's going to be a story. So it was Goofy in his adventure attire, and one of the things about this incident was something that was kind of... So we've never been swept from a race. The balloon ladies, like I was kind of hinting at earlier, the balloon ladies are the people who lead at a 16-minute mile pace from the very end of the race. So if you fall behind them, chances are you're going to get swept. It's not a guarantee you're going to get swept, but chances are you will probably get swept because you are going slower than what the pace is that you should be at for the race. So while we were here and going through and meeting Goofy, this was at the UK Pavilion, like right at the top of the hill over by International Gateway. And if you would go through, so if you're at the top of the hill at International Gateway and you look over by Canada, you could see the line for the character two before, which was Chip and Dale. So we saw a lot of people who were still coming through. It was about a mile and a half behind us where all these people were. And Frank was a little bit behind Daniel and I. And so Daniel and I were talking. We said, it'd be really funny if we started like kind of just trying to freak Frank out, be like, oh yeah, the balloon ladies just came by. And we were joking about it. We were talking about it. And then Frank showed up and Daniel was like, yeah, the balloon lady just went by. And Frank's like, no, there's too many people that are still coming through. Like, and we're like, yeah, you're right. We're trying to fool with you. And then literally like 5 seconds later, the balloon ladies started showing up. And we're like, okay. So the balloon ladies were exactly a mile and a half behind us at that point. And because of that, we knew that we were going to have to kind of pick it up a little bit. But at the same time, we were still confident that we should be able to meet every single character on the course. But it was not a guarantee. So after that, we went around World Showcase. They had 0 characters out on World Showcase until you got to the entrance of World Showcase. And that's where they had Duffy. Now, like I said, we met Duffy the day before in the parking lot, so we didn't have to meet him. And that brought us over to our next character meet and greet, which would be over by Guardians of the Galaxy. It would be starring the characters from Guardians of the Galaxy. And of course, it's going to be the one, well, not the one and only, the two and only, Gamora and Star-Lord. So we have these two characters there. This was probably, again, this could have been the longest character line of the entire weekend, right up there with Carl Fredricksen. Both character lines, we probably waited about 15 minutes. Both character lines, we were told that was going to be about a 5-minute wait, and both of them ended about at like 10 to 15 minutes. So overall, very happy that we got to meet them. Not the greatest character interactions ever, but at the same time, it was worthwhile. And then we got backstage of Epcot, and that's where you always meet your last character, and that was going to be Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde from the movie Zootopia. And that was going to wrap up our 10 miler. Now, like I said, we usually go through and we try to meet the characters in the parking lot afterwards. However, this time around, we were all so exhausted. We were tired. And also, a thing that I don't think a lot of people realize is while we were going through, I am filming a actual YouTube video that I want to go home and upload and edit and all that other stuff before I take my nap after the race. So we were exhausted. We were hungry. So we decided, okay, let's skip the character lines in the parking lot. We don't really need them. And let's have it so we get some food, and then I can go back and I can edit the video and upload the video before anyone else does. So that is exactly what we did, and we went back and finished up our 10K. All right, let's keep on going through. We're going to answer some of your questions here. Did you go to Animal Kingdom today? I did not go to Animal Kingdom today. I went to Magic Kingdom today. Penelope would have wished you good luck in the race, not by the car. Yes. So the point was you finished the races in 2 days because of the character lines. So just kidding. What mile was Tinkerbell and Fawn? They were right around. They were at like mile 8 during the 10 miler. We're gonna get to them in just a few minutes here. So glad we saw you. So Candace, someone just asked. They're like, did anyone who like watches you see? And I was like, oh, Candace. I was like, Candace should usually be here. I did see Candace on the course while I was in line for Nick Wilde and Judy Hopps. And to kind of give you an idea of how long we were waiting these lines for, we started in the third wave of the entire race, and Candace started in the last wave, and Candace caught up to us in that last character line. And it was about an hour, almost an hour, I want to say, between the first wave and the last wave leaving. So yeah, overall, we waited in a lot of lines this weekend. How many Jose's did you have? Only one. Sadly, only one. Okay, let's move into our final race of the race weekend, which is going to be the Hakuna Matata 10 miler. Now, in the Hakuna Matata 10 miler, the course is a little bit different, but I love this course so much. Out of all the Run Disney courses, this could be my favorite course. It doesn't have my favorite Run Disney moment, which is running through the castle, but as an overall course, it's one of my favorites. So again, we start in the Epcot parking lot. After we go around the parking lot, once again, we enter backstage over by Test Track, and then we make our way around World Showcase. After we go around World Showcase, we make our way over to the boardwalk, and then, wait a minute, now I'm getting confused. And then we take this path right down here until we get over to Disney's Hollywood Studios. Once we get into Disney's Hollywood Studios, we run around Echo Lake, down here, past Star Tours, through Galaxy's Edge, through Toy Story Land, up through the Arch, down Hollywood Boulevard, and then down Sunset Boulevard, until eventually we make our way up towards Fantasmic, and then we go backstage, and we run up to the street right here. We go up and around this lake, and then we do a long, well, it feels like a long stretch of road. Come on. Until we loop around here, and then we make our way back to where we were the day before. Oh my gosh, I apologize for this is so weird doing this backwards. And we come back around here. We enter backstage over by Figment, and then we go up, around, down, and then we go back to our finish line. So to continue our pursuit of meeting oh, you know what I didn't do for either race? We didn't show off our medals. Okay, so the 5K medal is going to be right there. This is the only medal that does not have any moving parts. I thought this was going to like spin around, but at the same time, I absolutely love this medal. I love having Tinkerbell at the top there. I love everything about it. Peter Pan is my favorite animated film, so everything about that is amazing in my book. The 10K features Russell there along with the house, and then if you push the house up, the balloons pop up at the top. So Adventure is out there, 10K. And then, of course, you got Doug there as well. Overall, amazing, amazing medals. Absolutely love both those medals. We will get into the 10 miler and the challenge medal in just a second here, but let's first get into our 10 miler. So for the 10 miler, a lot of people are more nervous about actually finishing the 10 miler. That usually when you get to the character lines, the lines aren't as bad. So when we did the 10 miler, one of my goals was I was like, you know what, let's just try to, I'm going to book it to the very first character because we are the very front of B, Corral B. So Corral A typically has more serious runners, especially during the 10 miler. And then Corral B has more people who are maybe like us, who are trying to meet characters, but at the same time are, trying to go through and finish the race. So our first character that's going to be on there was Ethan Clade. What? Who is Ethan Clade? That's what a lot of people have been asking. Ethan Clade is from the show or from the movie Strange World. So a character who we've never met before. He is a brand new character. I'm pretty sure that he's never appeared in any race or I know for a fact not in any races. But I am pretty sure he's not appeared in any different special events at Walt Disney World. So overall, this is going to be our first time ever meeting Ethan. There's a chance it could be our very last time meeting Ethan too, because I don't know how many people actually went through and met him. Right after that, we had Bernard. As you may have heard, Bernard, earlier someone asked, Bernard is hands down one of my favorite Disney characters of all time. I've always wanted to meet Bernard. It's been a dream, like literally a dream of mine to meet Bernard. And I have literally dreamt of this moment for most of my life. Like, I'm not even joking. Most of my life, I've always wanted to meet Bernard. And so to meet Bernard, hands down, one of my favorite characters that I've ever had the opportunity to go through and meet in a race. Our next character after that was going to be up at the Morocco Pavilion. I'm trying to get to the picture there. Which was going to be Abu. We've met Abu at several different races. Abu's character design just absolutely cracks me up every single time that I have ever seen him. I just think he's absolutely hilarious. Our next one, we had kind of an idea of who it was going to be, but when we were going backstage behind the UK Pavilion, they had a DJ there. And now if you don't know, they have a lot of different DJs that are out on the course. So while you're going through, you can go through and have it. So these people are kind of, just trying to pump you up and kind of, push you along on the course. And our DJ was like, I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard that Ping and Sheng are going to be up on the course ahead. And I thought it meant right around the corner. It actually meant by boardwalk. So I started to push myself so hard thinking that they're going to be right around the corner. And in reality, it was like 3/4 of a mile down the road. But I pushed myself and I got there fairly quickly to the point where actually we had to start letting people go ahead of us because Frank got there about a minute behind us. But we had Ping and Sheng there from Mulan. I'm trying to find where's my notes there? Okay, there's the next character. After Ping and Sheng, we would get to our next character. So you would go down the entire boardwalk. After you would get down the entire boardwalk, we would get to our next character, which would be the one and the only Donald Duck in his formal best. He's got a little top hat and a little tuxedo on there. Again, great characters. Anytime that we can see members of the Fab Five or the Sensational Six or this Octave 8. No, when they include Chip and Dale, what do they call them again? I can't remember. I can't think of it off the top of my head. After meeting Donald Duck, we went through into over by Echo Lake. Actually, if you look at the store that's right behind us, that's going to be the Frozen shop. So right behind Frank's in the purple shirt. Right behind Frank, that is going to be the exit of the Frozen sing-along. And then behind Daniel is the exit to Vacation Fun. So over there we had Mike Wazowski, another great, amazing character to meet. If you watched my video of us actually running all the way through studios, you probably heard my voice get extremely excited because the next character was Darth Vader, and I've not met Darth Vader on a race course for quite some time. I have met him at studios. If you are either over at Star Wars Launch Bay or if you are a Disney Visa card holder over at the Hollywood Studios, you can go through and meet Darth Vader any day of the week. However, it's a lot cooler when you're actually running on a course and you get to go through and meet Darth Vader instead. After Darth Vader, we would get to our next character, which is one character that we already showed a picture of earlier because people were asking about him. But let's get to him again. No, that's not. I went the wrong way. Where's my pictures of this character? There he is today. Lotso from Toy Story 3. Lots of hugging bear. He was found right over near the entrance of Toy Story Land. But for us, it was the exit of Toy Story Land. So it was actually why we were going through and meeting him or exiting him. That's a good question. Why is Darth Vader distant? The main reason is due to the fact that when you meet Darth Vader, they don't want to have it so people touch him because he's, a Sith Lord. And so because of that, usually when you are doing meet and greets for him at the park, they usually have like people going through and saying like, please stay away, like keep your distance from him. But it's tougher to do that on a course, especially these character meet and greets literally last less than 5 seconds. It's like 5 seconds. You go up, get your picture, and then you run. So because of that, I think that they didn't want to have it so they're going through and like warning people about it constantly. So this way it's just a little bit easier for them to just kind of say, hey, we're going to put him behind you to make life easier. Well, hang on. I didn't know about the meeting for Darth Vader for Disney Visa card holders. So it's located at the Star Wars Launch Bay. If you go into Star Wars Launch Bay, so if you walk into Star Wars Launch Bay, if this is the entrance to Star Wars Launch Bay, you take a right, and they got the character meet and greets at the bottom of the stairs. So down on the left-hand side is Chewbacca. Down on the bottom side is Darth Vader. And then on the right-hand side, up on the top level, is BB-8. If you go to the right-hand side of that, there is a door. And on the door, there's not even a door, it's like a little hallway. On the hallway sign, there is a thing that says Disney Visa character card spot. And you just go up there. There's usually a cast member there. If there's not a cast member there, that just means that you're not at the right time. It's usually ends at 4 o'clock. But you just go up, you show your Disney Visa card, just like they do at Epcot. And they take you into a private one-on-one meeting with Darth Vader. Overall, really, really cool experience. If you have a Disney Visa card, I highly, highly recommend it. Okay, so after Lotso Huggin' Bear, we got to our next character spot. And again, this is probably our longest line for the 10-miler, and it was going to be Mickey and Minnie. So this is going to be found right at the entrance of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. This was probably, like I said, it probably was our longest line during the 10-miler. I'm fairly positive it was the longest one. After that, we would run through the rest of studios. We'd make our way out. And after we got out of studios, we went backstage. And at backstage, we had our next character. No, wait, other way. I get the pictures as I posted them on Instagram. I posted like the characters that I was most excited to meet first. So these things are kind of out of order. So our next one was going to be Tigger. This is going to be right before we got onto the roads, heading out back towards Epcot. So we met Tigger there. This was the time where I had to go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom. The other two didn't have to go to the bathroom. So they ran ahead and got in line for Tigger. So again, it is very beneficial if you are running with other people. After we met Tigger out on the streets heading down towards World Drive, we met our next character, which would be King Louie. I want to be like you, talk like you, it's true. Hoo-hoo. From the Jungle Book, we have met King Louie multiple times before. After that, we have one that a lot of people were asking me about, because a lot of people, especially in line, we were there in line, and I was so excited about this character, and the person who was next to me goes, wait, who is this? Because I don't know. Like, they were just wanted to meet a character. They saw the line was somewhat short, and they decided to meet the character, and I don't know how they don't know who this is, because I love this character. It's Fat Cat from Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. He is the main villain from Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. So the fact that these people didn't know who he was very, very disappointing. And that means that they had a terrible, terrible childhood. I'm assuming. They were about my age. So I'm assuming that they just had a terrible, terrible childhood with that. Our next character that we would meet would be up on the road heading towards Epcot. And it would be Max dressed up as his Powerline character, or as Powerline, I should say. And after that, I think actually the next one might be in order. Our next character was, nope, that's not it. You guys are getting a sneak peek of a head. Okay, that's not who it was. Here it was. Okay. It was 2 over. Our next one would be Ian Lightfoot. He is from the movie Onward. If you've never seen Onward, Well, shame on you because it's a great film. I think it's actually one of the best Pixar films of all time. When we got in line, Burley was just leaving his brother. So again, just like Bernard and Bianca, we had the opportunity, if we wanted to, we could get back in line and wait for Burley to come through. But I was not going to be taking that risk. I just said, you know what? We are going to continue on our race course and have it so we continue to meet every single character. As we continued on, we got to our next character, who I cannot... I know exactly where this was. This is when you did the switchback right before you started to go back over the ramp into Epcot. We had Miko there from Pocahontas. And right after we had Miko, we would go over the bridge. And then in the parking lot... Was she in the parking lot? Yeah. In the parking lot for Epcot, or over by the Epcot buses, we would have our next one, which would be everyone's favorite yodeling cowgirl, Jessie, the yodeling cowgirl. So Jessie was there in the Epcot parking lot, and no, I didn't want to do that. I was trying to get my next one ready, and then I completely failed and showed you guys a character you'd already seen before. And then going to the question that Miley had in there, our next character would be the one and only Tinkerbell, along with Fawn. Where are they? There they are. Tinkerbell and Fawn from, of course, the Tinkerbell films. This part did confuse us a little bit because the 5K was themed around Tinkerbell, or was the Neverland 10K, or I'm sorry, 5K. And so you would have thought that maybe, just maybe, Tinkerbell would be on that race, but instead they actually threw her in this race instead, which was kind of, like I said, very confusing to us, but at the same time, not going to complain because, hey, we'll take it. After that, we had our next character, which would be Captain Barbossa and Captain Jack Sparrow. If you have been a runner at all, or if you have ever, if you've done any Run Disney races, or if you want to watch Run Disney races, there's a guy whose name is Jogging Jack Sparrow. He dresses just like Jack Sparrow. Like, he's probably the greatest cosplayer ever. He runs like Jack Sparrow. He talks like Jack Sparrow. I've had him in a few of my Run Disney videos in the past. When we were in line for these guys, Jogging Jack Sparrow ran by us, and real Jack Sparrow yelled out "imposter" at fake Jack Sparrow. And then Jogging Jack Sparrow got in this line. So we were actually talking about possibly going through and having it so we waited to watch the two of them interact. But then at the same time, we were like, we're about 1.5 miles away. We want to go through. We want to finish the race. Let's just keep on going through and get to our next character. So our next character and our last character of the entire race weekend was going to be Ferb from Phineas and Ferb. And again, this is where we met Captain Jack Sparrow 2 days before. This is where we met Judy Hopps and Nick Wilden day before as well. But that would wrap up our 10-mile adventure. And for finishing that one up, we got our next medal, which was the Hakuna Matata 10-miler. Simba does move. He jumps back and forth. Not very well, but he does. Not the best moving one. And then for finishing all 3 races, you would get Stitch's Ohana Challenge featuring everyone's favorite alien, Stitch. But yeah, that's all 4 of our, or all 3 of our races with all 4 of the medals and all the characters. Let's go through. If you guys have any questions, we have a few minutes here to go through and answer questions. Let's also go through and figure out our subscriber total right now. I don't even remember what we started with. I want to say it was a higher number than what we're at, though. 4363. Wasn't it 4364? I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Put them all on. Okay, we'll put them on. So the tricky thing with the race medals is you have to be careful because they cling together. And when they cling together, it does chip the paint away a little bit. So I used to wear all of them together after all the races were done. And for the last probably year now, I've been a little bit more cautious because I don't want to ruin them. I don't mind a little bit of chip paint because it shows that, it shows that you care. There we go. All 4 medals. Yeah, we lost the sub. No. Okay, let's go through and answer some more questions here. What is your hat? We did have this one earlier, but the Springtime Surprise Challenge. And it's got all 4 of the things there, the 5K, 10K, half of the challenge on there as well. I think you're incredibly smart for meeting as many characters as possible because the pictures with the characters are far better than any memories of running a million miles. Yes, I agree. I would rather meet as many characters as possible. I don't. When I first started running these, I understand why some people don't meet too many characters, because if you have not ran a lot, the idea of finishing and meeting all these characters is kind of overwhelming. Like, even still to this day, we've done it so many times, but still we're like, are we going to be able to pull this off? And we do, but I can see some people being like, I don't know if that's possible, and just running by most of the characters and maybe meeting 1 or 2 characters on the course. Would you become DVC for Moonlight Magic? No, DVC just doesn't work for me. I mean, I live literally, it's 2 miles that way is Disney. So it's not worth. I'm never going to stay at the hotels. I can't even remember the last time I stayed at a hotel. Can I? I can't. Okay, any other questions out there? Why is Darth Vader distance? We answered that one. Well, I think that might be all of our questions. Well, the day you put on all your medals, that was a good day. That was a really good day. I do kind of want to do it again, but that day I've never sweated so much inside my condo. It was so, because that was when I had 120 medals, and that was 4 years ago. So to put it in perspective, we have now done, okay, that's 120. Since then, we've done 1, 2, 3, 4 race weekends times 3, so 12 times another 4 for each race weekend. You get at least 4 medals. So that's 48 more. And then 3 of those was dopey, so that means it's another 2 medals. So 50, 52. And then on top of that, we also had Disneyland, which was another 4. So that's 56. And then a coast to coast, 57. So I'm at like 187 medals right now. What? That's crazy. Okay. But I think we are going to be wrapping up our show right here. Like I said earlier, tonight's episode is sponsored by our Patreon pals. Patreon pals. Shout, oh yeah, in the chat room. Thank you, our Patreon pals, for being the sponsors of tonight's episode. Thank you, everyone out there, for joining us once again tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed our talk about the Springtime Surprise Challenge. Overall, a lot of fun. Great weekend. If you've not done a Run Disney weekend, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. The next one that goes on sale is going to be the Disneyland half for January, or February. So you really have to, plan ahead, because it's pretty far in advance. But overall, thank you everyone for joining us once again tonight. As always, remember that anything can happen if you let it. Until next time, have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Are they gone? Are they gone? Oh, good. My cheeks are just killing me. I just can't stand this kind of pressure.